Limpo felt very proud of himself. He had passed all the tests and had been chosen to join a group to meet the first alien race his people had ever encountered. It had been many generations since they first made contact, and talks had been going on for a long time. Limpo's biggest wish was to finally finish the negotiations his ancestors had started. As they entered the meeting room, Limpo pressed a button by the door to announce their arrival. An older member of the group grumbled about how they used to knock during the early stages of discussions. This was the first time they were meeting on a human ship, which had been modified to accommodate their race. The older member complained about the complexity of the human machinery and how it had taken a long time to retrofit the ship. When they entered the room, a human greeted them warmly. The delegates were surprised to see real humans, as they had only seen holographic images before. They had expected the humans to be the same height as them, but they were much taller. The old member whispered that the data team would be in trouble for not providing accurate information. The human apologized for the delays and explained that it took time to adjust the ship for their guests. Limpo expressed his excitement about finally being on the universal stage. The human then presented the agreed-upon documents on a screen. Limpo noticed some numbers and asked about them. The human explained that they were dates. The old delegate questioned if they measured time differently. After everyone agreed to the terms, the human initiated a celebration. Plates of food from the human's world were brought out, and the delegation enjoyed the feast together. Limpo found himself drawn to the window, mesmerized by the crimson orb that was his home world. It was a rare privilege to witness such a sight, one that would soon become familiar as they embarked on their diplomatic mission. As he gazed out, lost in the beauty of the view, a human diplomat approached him, breaking the silence. "Beautiful view, isn't it?" the diplomat remarked, joining Limpo at the window. Limpo nodded enthusiastically, unable to tear his eyes away from the scene below. "Absolutely stunning. I still vividly remember the first time we arrived here," he replied, a sense of wonder evident in his voice. Seeing all the cities illuminated at night was a sight to behold. The diplomat seemed to understand the significance of Limpo's words, realizing that he had been part of the crew that initially surveyed the planet nearly a century ago. Limpo's sudden outburst caught everyone off guard, but he quickly composed himself and apologized for the interruption. The diplomat assured him that there was no need for apologies and explained that the term "plock" was a new one that their translation device hadn't encountered before. After a brief pause, the diplomat deciphered that "plock" referred to a unit of time equivalent to a month in human terms. Limpo was fascinated by this revelation, realizing that humans used a different word to measure time, compared to his own race. The diplomat went on to explain that their arrival on Limpo's planet had occurred approximately 100 months ago, which equated to roughly 12 years in human time. Limpo's mind raced as he processed this information, trying to comprehend the concept of human years and how they differed from his own race's understanding of time. He was astounded to learn that the diplomat had just celebrated his 30th birthday, considering the human relatively young by his standards. The realization struck Limpo like a bolt of lightning. This seemingly youthful diplomat was actually over 300 years old in his own time unit. The entire group was stunned by this revelation, with even the oldest members among them feeling dwarfed by the human's age. Limpo couldn't help but wonder if the human was considered old among his own race, but the diplomat explained that he was still relatively young compared to some. He mentioned his grandmother, who had recently celebrated her 90th birthday, a milestone that translated to over 1,000 years in Limpo's time unit. As the implications of this revelation sank in, Limpo couldn't help but feel a newfound sense of awe and respect for the human race. Their perception of time and aging was vastly different from his own, yet it only served to deepen his admiration for their resilience and wisdom. So many generations had passed, with one human starting to speak before pausing, sensing the awkward atmosphere settling in. "I guess we are your equivalent of elves, then," the human remarked, hoping to lighten the mood. Limpo nodded, understanding the reference. "Yeah, back on our world we have stories about a race of beings called elves. They look just like us but have pointed ears and live for millennia," he explained. Suddenly all the data slates pinged, and the delegates looked visibly shocked. They realized that millennia meant 1,000 years, a concept that seemed like a fairy tale or myth to them. Respecting the human's age, one of the delegates spoke up, expressing their disbelief. "A being living as long as you do would be from stories and myths for us. How confident are you that they aren't out there?" they asked. The human shrugged, acknowledging the possibility. "Well, I guess we'll need to look into the possibility of space elves. Just hope they aren't the Warhammer kind," he joked, trying to ease the tension.